Hello and welcome to another AutoTalk podcast and YouTube video, depending on where you're watching it. Today, we have a really interesting topic to look into today. Well, interesting business to look into today, and that is Dealerhub. Now, there's been a lot of discussion over the years about how dealers can trade their cars between them. If you've been around the industry a while, you would remember it all the way back to something in our company's history, and that was those little dealer books in your back pocket where you'd look up stock around the country to buy. But things are, of course, moving forward a lot now with digital options on the table. So I'm going to bring into the room here James McComb and Mike Harvey from Dealerhub. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Howdy.
No problem.
Now, what a time over the last year or so to be starting a startup. You certainly like to give yourself a bit of a challenge entering the industry at a time like this, and particularly now we're talking kind of in the middle of the start of level 3 for Auckland. So thanks for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about Dealerhub? What is Dealerhub firstly, and where did the idea kind of come from to enter this dealer trading space?
Sure. Do you want to, Mike? I'll leave the floor for Mike to answer the first question.
Okay, so I mean, I guess the most efficient way of explaining what Dealerhub is a online dealer-to-dealer only trading platform. It's a way of bringing a buyer and seller together that normally would have never had the opportunity in a digital space, and it's nationwide. It's not just your local sandpit that a dealer normally plays in. So that's the crux of the relationship part of it, but we're doing it in a savvy digital way that is pretty streamlined and very simple for user experience for both the buyer and the seller.
So essentially dealers can list their stock online, and then other dealers can bid for it in a competitive process, and is that how it works?
Yeah, that's one part of it. Yeah, so I guess the closest thing would be like Trade Me. If you've bid for something on Trade Me, you understand how that works. Each dealer's a vendor can list a car, like you say, and then if bidders want to buy it, they've each got a unique identifier, and we have the auctions running every day. If a dealer wants to list a car, we can have it finishing the next day or the following week. It depends on how they want to run it as the vendor. So it's the closest way to explain it would be like Trade Me as far as the bidding process. But if a dealer wants to run a closed loop tender within a large group, we can do that, or within their own local network, we can offer that service as well.
And they can also just list their stock, I understand, so it's available for other dealers who might just happen to need something of a particular type for their own yard.
That's correct, yeah. So it would be free to list a vehicle for a vendor. If it's just once it sells, they get charged. So they could list stock. I guess what we've found, the cars that we've sold, it's realistic vendors have sold cars, not unrealistic vendors. So we're trying to offer these cars at a wholesale level so that it leaves some space for a dealer to make a margin.
Mm-hmm. And who's selling so far on Dealerhub? I mean, we're just seeing individual dealers. Are there importers? Are there wholesalers? Are there other fleet operators looking at disposing of stock through the dealer channel at the moment?
We've had a large importer use the site, and predominantly it's dealer trades. So predominantly in the dealer space, it would be the larger operations, franchises that have used the site, and small independents have also used it that might be isolated and don't have a large network of potential buyers. So we've had dealers in smaller regional areas list cars, and they've sold them to other parts of the North Island. So and those two would have never ever even know each other existed without our site. So, and it's gained the vendor a greater net result than if they'd probably picked up the phone and sold it to their local world that they normally deal with. Mm-hmm. We've got over 300 dealers registered to the site, so it's relatively significant.
Mm-hmm. I mean, where did the idea itself actually come from? I mean, how did you guys get started in this startup?
I think this whole model has proven successful overseas. There's been various attempts at trying to deliver a digital solution to the kind of dealer side of trading vehicles. And what we've done with Dealerhub, what we've really tried to do with Dealerhub is be very pointy, very simple, very fast, very efficient in the use of Dealerhub. So I guess if we wind the clock back a wee bit and have a look at how we actually got to where we are today, it's important to flag that our solution is built from the ground up for New Zealand. We've spent many hours both quizzing Mike, who's our kind of in-house auto guy. He's our insider from the industry. We've got the technical guys, Andrew and co, who are very, very technical. I cover the kind of digital marketing side of things. And we really sat down and so many brainstorm sessions around what is actually going to fix or make a situation better than it currently is. One of the key drivers for that really resonated with me was just in a conversation we were having, and it became obvious how much time is spent, particularly in Auckland, traveling from dealer to dealer to go and check out an item of stock that might actually not be what you want when you get there. And it became obvious that, in actual fact, a quick video and a few photos will do the question for you, and you can access it right there on your mobile phone. So if you think about that several times, well, more than several times a week, 52 weeks of the year, the amount of efficiency we could actually deliver to wholesalers in the market, or wholesalers, car dealers, whatever in the market, is significant, right? So it just seems, just on that one fact, it just seems like a no-brainer to leverage technology and deliver a better experience and a more efficient work environment.
Mm-hmm. And you guys have got that digital experience there, but just, and you touched on it, James, there, Mike, you're not exactly a newbie to the automotive trade. You've got many decades of experience working with dealers and stock.
Yeah, I guess I started relatively young. Working initially at a Nissan franchise dealer when I was in my late teens as an apprentice salesperson, and I guess I've just stayed with it. Imported cars from Japan as an independent dealer, and then ended up being employed by Pierce Brothers as a buyer at the start. I think I bought over 10,000 cars for Pierce Brothers over the years, so ended up being general manager. I think for about 13 years I worked for them. So yeah, I've got a little bit of time under my belt.
He's actually about 80 years old. We can't get his precise age out of it. He just uses this wicked skincare routine.
Thank you, James.
So would you argue you know what a dealer's looking for when they're buying? I mean, is that core to the project, is having someone there that understands what a dealer is looking for when they are assessing stock digitally?
I think it helps, because I guess I know what I know what I would want to see if I was going to start embracing a product like this. I would know what would give me confidence to potentially bid on something sight unseen, because I guess effectively that's what we're offering. So it needs to be quality information to get a quality result. That's the reality. And what we're trying to achieve for the vendor is a transparent result. So for some of these large groups that are now quite accounting based, they want to show transparency. And if we have got a system that shows a competitive environment, that's going to help with transparency as well.
Mm-hmm. How far through the transaction is Dealerhub involved? I mean, is it introduction, or does it go further than that, or are you looking at ways that can go further than that? Can you explain how it works?
Yeah,
so
we've got a technology roadmap, which every good technology startup has these days, and we're aware that a roadmap will lead us into the future. And so within that roadmap, we've actually theorized the idea of being involved in every moment of the transaction, everything from transporting the vehicle to providing secure payment, maybe even stepping down the road of being able to provide finance if that's required. But it's that is a roadmap. Where we are today is, as Mike very articulately stated, we are about transparency. and offering the dealer environment 100% transparency. So at the moment, Dealerhub is a portal for only registered motor vehicle traders to see what stock is available, and we introduce the two parties through the methods that we've spoken about, and leave the actual transaction to those two parties.
Mm-hmm. And where we get paid is so once the vendor sells the vehicle, we ask for a fee for that sale.
So it's a commission-based system, basically.
It's commission, per transaction. Yeah, correct.
Per transaction.
But, yeah.
Okay. Now, the question, I guess, at the moment is, and this is something else that is troubling others in the trade in regards to this kind of services, is are people willing to let go of their trade-in stock at the moment, or are they being very protective at a time when it is hard to get more cars? When stock levels are very low, are dealers willing to trade vehicles still between them?
I think that's definitely one of the things that we're facing at the moment. So it's 100% true. Yeah, stock is very thin on the ground, and I mean you understand that, Richard. Hearing from the people that you talk to on a daily basis, stock's very, very difficult, and dealers are keeping stuff that they normally wouldn't, and not offloading them at a wholesale level. So I would agree it's challenging. It's a challenging time to probably try and get dealers to relinquish quality trades at a wholesale level. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I guess that market still exists where, there is stock that doesn't necessarily fit people's needs, or perhaps is too low quality for some dealerships, but
some dealers have got pretty strict criteria. It might be a company policy that they may not be able to keep an imported car, for example, and there may not be anything wrong with it, but it might be their company policy, or it might be slightly too old, or slightly too many Ks, or it just falls outside their criteria for one reason or another. They might have been burnt in the past by a particular model. So there still are many cars being traded and wholesaled. It's just that that pool is not as large as what it was 2 years ago. And that's absolute reality. But we can't change that. What we're trying to do is, even those cars that they are wholesaling, is get them a better net result. So if dealers wanted to start looking at every little part of their world, if they want to wring the neck of everything, a platform like ours will offer them that opportunity to get a better net result for the trade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How much do you see this platform going beyond the traditional kind of dealer-to-dealer base? I mean, do you see, once that market gets back into play, the rental car companies defleeting significantly through the likes of this, fleets going into this area and so forth? I mean, do you think you have the capacity to build into that area and the ability to kind of offer that consistency of price and consistency of prices achieved that those companies are looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That would be, I mean, what you've just touched on is exactly where it would be in the future. Lease companies that have got excess stock that they can't lease back out into their network, like you say, rental car companies, even finance companies with repossessions. There's many different pieces of the puzzle, but at the moment, as you know, some of those are non-existent. So we're focusing on dealer trades at the moment, and that's still happening, but not at the level it was. But there's definitely scope for that in the future, 100%.
Yeah.
You guys mentioned the ability for dealers to shift stock out into their own, to use the term network, or their own local area as such. Can you explain what that means and why a dealer would want to do that?
So, like a large multi-franchise or large group that has, let's say, 10 different branches around the North Island, a vehicle might get traded, let's say, in the Hawke's Bay within their group, and before one of their other managers knows about it, it gets wholesaled. If they haven't got an internal system that catches that car, we've got the ability to have a closed loop system within Dealerhub that the car goes into their world, into their portal, before it would, at least then everybody would get the opportunity to see it within their group and decide whether they want to keep it, instead of the car being wholesaled and it never been seen again. So that effectively, if they don't want to keep the car, then it would flip onto our Dealerhub auction site and then let everybody have a go at it.
So it's kind of a giving them within the group the first choice before sending out there to the broader market.
Yeah, I mean, there's always different reasons why some cars just don't get offered within a group. It might be, personality issues, or it might be, it's just if you've got these large groups that cover a large area, just communication. It can be as simple as that. We've got the ability to be able to remove all that, so that somebody can turn their phone on or laptop and have a look in the morning and see that somebody's traded a car within their group and they might want to grab it.
Yeah, in actual fact, we've got a feature on the site, and I'm getting down to the detail. There's a feature on the site you can configure where you can set the price range of the car you want to buy. You can highlight the type of car, and we will tell you when a car that matches that criteria has been listed. So, just taking the grunt work out of sourcing and selling stock.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys believe you're getting better prices for your cars than other wholesale sale channels that dealers are known to use? And if so, why? I mean, what do you think your advantage is? Is it somewhere in the way you've structured the marketing of the cars? What's the special sauce?
Special sauce for me is the fact that we're offering it to. We've got a database of over 1,200 people, with 300 people signed up to actually access the system. So that presents the opportunity for a really competitive environment, and that's what we've seen in the past. We've seen vehicles, while being realistically priced is obviously the way to go to attract attention. We've seen vehicles excel what we expected them to go for through the site. So we're confident. Like you've nailed it at the beginning of the show, Richard. What a time to launch a startup. COVID going rampant around the world and creating all sorts of hassle. Have things gone as smoothly for us as we hoped? No, absolutely not. I'd be trying to fool myself and everyone around us if I said they had. But the fact of the matter is, even despite the let's call them speed bumps, we've seen really successful transactions happen within the site, and up to very recently, we had a 100% track record where every auction we held, we sold vehicles. So it's only, unfortunately, restrictions outside of our control which are hampering our growth. Hampering. There you go. Hampering.
Why do you think the traditional? Do you think traditional auction systems haven't necessarily catered that well for dealers in recent years? I mean, we know that many of them at times have backed away from dealer-only auctions, and they've come back in at various times. It's been a bit of a mixed bag. Why do you think that's been a little bit unsettled, that industry, over the last few years? And do you guys think you can maintain a space that has been somewhat overlooked?
I guess. The two large sources that dealers would have bought stock from at a public auction or dealer-to-dealer auction only have probably pulled away from that lately. So there isn't a reliable place that a dealer could go and buy stock on a regular basis at the moment. That's what we're trying to provide, is a tool that a dealer knows that they could go in and regularly purchase some stock in a transparent manner. They know that's only dealer only. They're not competing with the public, look, those two large players have probably gone down more retail avenue. That's the reality. So they've left that space alone. This gives the dealer or the vendor the power that the car doesn't have to leave their site. They don't have to send it away and then get conditioned by a salesperson telling them the car's only worth a certain amount and it didn't sell at auction or whatever it is. The dealer, the vendor, has got the power to adjust the reserve if they like, or put it up or down, or we've got the ability to send out a fixed price offer if the car doesn't sell, things like that. Like it's very flexible. So the power's with the vendor.
Yeah, I guess from my point of view on that subject is we're not trying to invent something new. We are delivering an existing process via digital technology, and the benefits of digital is that it's infinitely scalable. We have got a far wider reach using technology rather than the standard black book in someone's top drawer, and the benefits are there to be taken. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. And I guess, we've talked about the challenges of launching through this whole COVID period, but arguably a system that lays out stock like this in a prescribed style, presents in a consistent way, is going to have appeal at a time when people can't go and check out a car in a yard and decide whether they're going to price it or not. It's simply a hassle to get a car on a truck to send it over to a physical auction or a physical sales yard. Is that would be an advantage at the moment, I imagine.
Yeah, the speed we can do it. Yeah, like if the car could be sold within a day. If someone wants to list a car tomorrow morning, it could potentially sell by the end of the day if they choose to have the auction to terminate at that time. So it's also, we're very mindful of the speed of the transaction potentially. So instead of the car going somewhere and sitting somewhere and waiting for the auction to start, it can all happen within 24 hours if that's what they want. I mean, in fairness, we have found the better results have happened when a car's probably been on there for more than 2 or 3 days, so enough eyes can't get on it. But once it becomes a habit that a dealer knows they can regularly see that there's stock on there, and they know it's a place that they can buy cars, then it's just it'll happen pretty naturally.
I think one of the things you touched on there, Richard, is we've got a couple of dealers who have signed up to the site and have sold cars successfully through the site. And one of their major problems is space, right? They have these cars that are traded in and they're sitting around and the car park's full and everything's getting damaged and dinked and bumped and cheeses everyone off. And so we actually, in one of those instances, when we first launched, we were having one auction a week. Thursday at 4 was one auction a week, but we listened to the market and we've taken on what the market, the struggles that the market was suffering with, in that instance, the space issue. And we've changed the site to now every day, 4 o'clock, all the auctions for that day finish. So like Mike said, if I wanted to stick a car on there today, we're a bit late now, but I would list it to end tomorrow. At approximately this time, and that's it. So really reactive. As I said before, we're not trying to create anything new. We're trying to just make a better way of doing what we do.
Now, as we have discussed, there have been services in this area that have come and gone. You guys are a startup, but have you got the volume and the backing there to continue and grow this? And you believe this is a real long-term prospect? You're pretty confident in the prospects for Dealerhub?
Absolutely. Well, we're going to need the support from a large vendor to make it successful, I suppose. That's the reality at the moment. If we're going to need the support from a large entity that realizes that this is the way of getting a reliable, transparent, competitive way of disposing of their trades, and if they made it a company policy or a mandatory policy within the group that this is the system that they're going to use to deal, and just becomes the new normal. But that's what we need. We're selling cars, but we've got fairly large ambitions as well. So we need volume.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just going to say, with regards to longevity, that's one of the great things about creating your own platform. We've got 100% control over every aspect of our platform, and longevity isn't an issue for us.
Any thoughts to acting as a portal for vehicles directly from Japan? Are they in your roadmap as well, offering a system like that?
In what respect? What do you mean by that?
As in for vendors in Japan auctioning stock direct to New Zealand dealers?
Yeah, it's something we've thought about. It's a fairly complex, but it's something we've considered. We haven't discussed it in a great deal, but it's something we have considered. But there is a number of probably speed bumps and complications that make that not so simple to make it happen overnight, put it that way.
Excellent. So if dealers want to get an idea or a closer idea about Dealerhub, want to look at signing up or even perhaps have a bit of a browse, what's the best way they can go about that?
They just go to dealerhub.co.nz, get to our landing page, which is the public-facing page. From then on, they'll need to have their credentials, like their trader number, some basic details, send in an application, and we'll vet at our end, which is something that we probably haven't made clear, is that there is a vetting process, so it's not just anybody that can get in. It's registered traders that are trading and credible, and then they can have a look at the site and see how it works.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
excellent.
I'd like to leverage that a little bit further. Actually, one thing that Mike nailed it. I'm probably repeating Mike a wee bit here, but we're very concerned. Concerned? That's not the right word. We are fixed on the objective of creating a transparent and secure platform for dealers to trade. So yeah, every application, every single dealer that we have online has been vetted by us. And when we say vetted, we mean properly vetted. We've got like a 5-step routine for making sure people are who they are and that they're in the business of trading cars. So security is a massive aspect of the platform, and it has been from day one. Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Absolutely. Look, that's great. Hopefully a bit there for people to have a think about, and that they can go and check out that website. So thank you, James McComb and Mike Harvey from Dealerhub for joining us. And please, if you're watching this, don't forget to like and subscribe and rate it and all those things down the bottom, no matter where you're picking this up. This will also tie into an article in the October issue of AutoTalk Magazine. So thank you for watching.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you. See you later.
Just don't disappear there, guys. I just have to do something that my mouse is very small on the screen. Just going to play this again and I'll cut the bit out.